Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it's been a little while again since the last one that we did. Yeah. So thanks again for joining us. We had a really beautiful day today, didn't we?
Yeah, we had.
Yeah.
We went to Ballina, which is an ocean town.
Yeah.
I'm learning to say ocean and not sea, by the way. I'm so used to saying sea, but Daniel has to remind me all the time it's the ocean.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went there and we actually got to see some beautiful dolphins today, and that was the first time for me to see them in the wild. And it was so gorgeous, and it's just such an amazing animal, and if I wanted to be any kind of animal, I would like to be a dolphin, I think.
Cool.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, I took Amanda to a couple of places that I went to with my cousin. As you'll probably see in a Vibes video, I mentioned that like numerous times in the Vibes video, that this is where my cousin used to take me fishing, and we used to catch yabbies. Yabbies are like little crayfish, little shrimp things that kind of live like in the sand, pretty like in the sort of really wet sand, and you use a yabby pump, which is basically, you can make one yourself. It's just like a tube of PVC pipe and then like a top on it, and you basically just stick it into the sand and pull it up, and you can pull out the yabby that's deep in the sand in his little nest where he thinks he's safe. And then they make incredible bait. But yeah, we used to do that whilst he was still alive. And he took me to Ballina a couple of times. I don't think anyone actually ever took me to Ballina except for him. So yeah, but yeah, it was wonderful to go there. We had the whole entire like South Ballina beach to ourselves, like this massive stretch of beach. It was just us, not a single other car. The road was closed, so we parked back and then we sort of walked up, and it was really lovely. But yeah, we'll leave the rest of it for, I think, a Vibes video. So
you'll see it there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's been a really emotional week, this one. First of all, I guess maybe the most sort of tangible thing is that our cat unfortunately has been really sick, and just losing all his weight. He was super skinny, and yesterday we had to take him in to the vet. Yeah,
yesterday I took him to the vet, and we laid him to rest. You know, we buried him just a little bit behind where the camera is now. So this is his resting place at the moment.
It's kind of like a shock, really. I mean, he was old, but it was still, I think we were expecting him to live a lot longer. And,
sure.
And
he was really quite healthy as well. Before he lost a lot of weight, he was doing really well, and he was still catching tons of rats, and you know, pretty much every other night, or even every night, multiple nights in a row, he'd catch a rat. But then somewhere along the line, he just stopped eating, and he had a lot of hairballs, and he was coughing a lot and stuff. And I won't get into too much details, but he got really, really sick, and we went and got him some really nice primo food, and you know, he didn't really give us any cause of concern for a while, but then he went away for a full day, and he came back, and he wasn't doing very well. And then we called the vet, and when we called the vet, he went away again, so we couldn't find him. And then he came back to actually our neighbor's place, and then our neighbor came down and said, hey, look, he's really sick, it's probably a snake bite. And when I took him into the vet, you know, she just lifted his head up and went, oh buddy, you're not going to recover from this. And oh man, I don't know how many tears I cried yesterday, but it was a lot of I spent most of the day mourning, and it was doubly emotional because yesterday was also my father's birthday. And for those of you who don't know, who may be just tuning in for the first time, my father passed away a couple of years ago. He probably died from myocardia, from his second dose of the vaccine, but you know, no one was really correctly logging reasons for death from those. So yeah, it's I don't know, there's a lot of a whole another topic of a video, I guess, on that sort of thing. But yeah, in the spirit of my dad's birthday, I listened to a lot of music, a lot of different varied music. My dad was an amazing magician. I'm not going to cut that out. I'm not going to edit that out. My dad was an amazing musician, and incredible harmonica player, great guitar player, great singer. And he loved the blues, so I listened to blues, I listened to indie rock, a lot of different stuff that I listened to when I was a kid, some stuff that I knew my father listened to, B.B. King, he was really loved the blues, and just really a lot of emotions yesterday, a lot of tears, a lot of prayer, but also at the same time, it's really quite incredible and profound how in these moments of such emotional sadness, you can feel how close God is. You can feel that he really is there with you. Like I felt really so much like he was just there and he had his arm around me and he just like he knew exactly what I was going through. And it's not a hallucination when you really feel that closeness and you really feel like you're really emphasizing with each other, like he's here and he understands and it's okay. And back onto the sort of book that we were both listening to, this audiobook, Beholding, about this guy Strahan Cohen. He says that he really believes that God, he behaves so differently to the way that we do, in the way that we're trying to find solutions for things, but what God does is he is with us in our happy and high points, but also in our lowest points. And he's not here just to offer solutions. He's not here just to offer quick fixes, And what we get out of that with this wonderful God that we have is that he truly understands us and our sadness. And he's there present in our sadness, And this guy, Strahan Cohen, he also mentions that the world would be a very different place if we as human beings, instead of rushing out to try and solve each other's problems, we could actually sit and listen and mourn with somebody. And that really is, I think, what it means to kind of be human. So, yeah. We made Bootsy, the name of the cat. It was my mum's cat, and he gave him to us. A headstone. So, a season for every purpose under heaven. This is Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. So a season for love, a season, for mourning, a season for death, a season for everything. It's really, really for happiness, for sadness, And it really resonated with me, like that's what we put on his headstone, and a wood stone in this case, and buried him just a stone's throw just over behind where the camera is.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing, to think about that life, it's not all happy, and it's not, life isn't just good when it's happy. Life is also good when it's sad and, when you're mourning. And sometimes we have a really one-sided view of what life's supposed to look like when we're actually doing well. But it's supposed to be very sort of joy-filled, primarily. But God can be close to us in any kind of season. And I think that chapter, especially in Ecclesiastes, reminds us of that, and that everything has its purpose. There is nothing that's for naught. And I think also this week has been also really sort of teaching me more about gratitude and about really seeing what's right there in front of me, instead of always thinking about what's the next step, what's the next improvement that I want to make in my day-to-day life, in the house, or in in whatever I have, what I own, in my material things, and instead thinking about what's around me. And also even just the cat that we had, and that we got to enjoy him for a while, and I was so grateful that we were able to do that, and we were able to spend this time with him, even though he wasn't our cat originally. We only really took care of him for a couple of months.
Became his custodian in a way.
But it's still it's a life. Even it's like a cat life, it's an animal's life, but it's a life, and God has put everyone there for a reason and for a purpose. Even a little animal is there for God's kingdom,
and I mean, we didn't have him around for so long, and obviously I met him when I was here last time with Amanda as well. But it's just amazing how an animal can touch your life in such a way, and to know that that's a gift from God, that companionship. Like, God didn't just make woman for man and man for woman, but all of the animals, you know, the whole kingdom, the every plant bearing, you know, like fruit bearing tree, every animal, you know, like
dolphins as well.
exactly. It doesn't matter, you know. And yeah, it really, really helps you understand to cherish life and to cherish the experience that you have. And you know, life is really irreplaceable. Like
it's very fragile.
Yeah, really fragile. Every person's life is so unique. And I was talking to one person just recently, and they asked me if I was okay. Even before like kind of this all happened, we already had a bit of an emotional week. There's all sorts of different things going on. Don't have enough time in the video to explain everything. And you know, the answer was like, no, I wasn't okay at all. You know, like being a Christian doesn't make you impervious to damage. It doesn't make you, you know, invincible or unkillable, you know. It's not like a drug that you're on, you know, like you don't just find Christ and then suddenly you're like perfectly happy. Like I've received my healing, but, you know, I'm not immune to being sad, to grieving, to suffering loss, you know. All of these things. What I am immune to is despair. I mean, full despair, the feeling of suicide, the feeling of depression. All of these things I'm immune to. Like when you have Christ dwelling in you, you don't suffer from that anymore. Like you can't experience this, like, you know, possession from the enemy, which is that, you know, he's seeking to literally kill you, and he has complete control over your emotions, you know, like you don't have control over them. And when you have Christ, you know, you have control, you know, but not you, but Christ in you, right? And that's what I have, you know. I have an antidote to despair, a daily antidote. But, you know, in this case that Bootsy died, like it was so profoundly sorrowful and sad and terrible, and such a loss, you know. And in many of the other things that have happened, you know, we've got other people that we know that are getting really sick. They're really, really sick, and we're really praying for them, and that they would receive this healing. But at the same time, you know, like life goes on, you know, and yeah, I mean, we're still human, like you and I, you know, we're still human. And many of the things I believe that God has been, I think, teaching both of us is that, you know, living your life is not about having an answer to every question, or almost even to any question. You know, like Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the answer to every question. You know, any question, how much should I give this person? Well, you know, Jesus would give this person what they deserve. You know, like what is owed them. You know, how should I work this job? Well, with honesty and humility and honor and integrity and dignity. You know, all of the things that Jesus did. You know, like, and we already have an answer in him for how to live our entire lives, you know. So if anything, life is about understanding that there's so much, if not everything, that is out of our control, you know, essentially. And that doesn't mean that we just throw ourselves to the wind and say, well, I have no control over this, but to really understand that, you know, to not be a reed tossed in the wind. You know, you need to have a connection with Christ. And you need to understand that you're living in this world that is not just random chance and big bangs and all the stuff that they try to feed you on television, but it's a kingdom that God has created, and he's made the rules, you know, and you're living in it. Like you're, as the Bible says, like vapor. You're here for a small time and then you're gone, you know. I know we've said this before a few times, but it's a profoundly amazing thing to know that, and to be a part of that, and to experience that, you know. So, yeah, you know.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, all feelings come from God. Like he's created everything. And I think that he also allows us to feel pain because, you know, we need to be able to...
Because he does too.
He does too, exactly. And that it helps us connect with him and the pain that he feels when we're not treating each other right and we're doing evil. And it also helps us connect with each other, you know? Because everyone experiences pain in different ways, and if you were immune to feeling pain, like you couldn't connect to anyone else.
You know, God had to suffer the pain of losing his own son. You know, and what is the pain of losing a cat? You know, compared to that? You know, not to compare obviously one life to another, but it's just again like an amazing example of just God's wonderful love for us, you know. So yeah, thank you for joining us. It's getting a bit dark and a bit cold out here, and the mosquitoes have well and truly found us, and I'm not wearing shoes. So yeah, we really appreciate your time. If you have any questions for us, please leave them in the comments, and look out for the vibes video that we're going to make as well on the wonderful trip that we had. So yeah, see you. God bless. Bye.